So I want to welcome to the stage Sarah Gunn, who's the GM of Experience for The Market, or TheMarket.com, and Dylan Weymouth, and his title is so long, I'm just going to call him the GM of Business Operations for it's the Warehouse Group, including Noel Leeming and a range of other brands. So thank you and welcome to the stage.
Thanks, Tim.
So first off, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourselves. I'll start with Sarah.
Hi, everybody. So Sarah Gunn, I have been with The Market since day one, back in early 2018, working with our CEO, Eustace Wild, on the original strategy for launching a group marketplace strategy as an extension of the Warehouse Group. And around about a year and a half later, in August of 2019, we launched The Market. We now have around 1,000, or just over 1,000 retail partners trading on The Market. We've got 4.5 million products, around 6,000 brands, and a whole lot of amazing customers with very high expectations of what that experience should look like, which is obviously why we're here today.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi everybody. So my name's Dylan. I've been in the Warehouse Group for 22 years. All my experience mostly has been working in our stores, so the Warehouse, Warehouse Stationery, Noel Leeming and Torpedo 7. And my role in the Warehouse now is to head up group business operations. So my team and I look after all of our store development, all of our store technology and store systems, process, data, our data platforms, and our network and engineering teams as well. So have a great team based in Auckland and Christchurch, and very diverse weeks always. It's great.
Yeah, so thanks very much. So we've got two different businesses connected, part of the same group, and almost couldn't be more different in a couple of ways. A startup that launched at an ideal time, coming into the kind of the new age of e-commerce, and an established business that I remember Dylan and I tend to talk everything else after about 7 p.m. And it would have been March or April 2020 when Dylan says, how can we do business if our stores are closed? So really, really different businesses. So let's jump into it. We're looking at, what is different today, and what is a business as usual today, and how different is that to 3 years ago? Now, clearly, you only kicked off 3 years ago, Sarah, but you came from extensive background before that. You've built systems going into this time of change. How does business operations look today relative to 3 years ago?
Oh, well, there's been just so much change since the very beginning. I mean, when you start as a startup business, and many will be in this room, you're constantly creating a new normal and then reassessing what that should look like for the next quarter, or it could even be shorter than that. So we're already going through a lot of change and dealing with a business that was scaling very, very quickly. A lot of hiring going on, new team members, new business partners to be working with. So we were already very good at adopting change and pivoting quite quickly, which was really lucky in preparation for the lockdowns hitting. So we all remember getting that first lockdown message, and working from home and trying to work out what does normal look like now. And that was really, really challenging. Obviously, we'd spent the previous few years building a business and building up our range and these relationships with our merchants, and then trying to work out what we could sell, based on the guidelines that we're receiving from the government, which would change on the daily. So we were very, very good at getting a core team together to focus each day on daily stand-ups on what we needed to action at that point, and iterated daily on what our range, how it needed to change to reflect the new rules. So we've become quite...
You were born into change.
Born into change, right. And got really good at it during lockdown. So now actually we're really focusing on trying to have a bit more sort of stability, and I think the teams really need that as well. There's been so much change just around the world in general. And I think team members are really craving for some BAU. So we incorporate that into our business and make sure that we're really focused on routine and clear, really very clear expectations of what good looks like, and celebrating the successes is really important. That's some feedback that I think we had recently, that I think when you're moving quickly and there is a lot of change and things are, mad in the world, you forget to do that. So we had some really good feedback recently from our team that was something that we could be doing a bit better. I'll hand over to
Take the
Dylan.
mic. So Dylan, obviously you represent a bunch of more traditional businesses that have been around for quite some time, and most of the memory of everyone here. So how do business as usual operation, how does that look today compared to 3 years ago?
Yeah, well, I think as we were talking, obviously the stats we saw with the New Zealand Post
Yeah.
shared yesterday, online shopping just took off, and we accelerated the whole population buying online by probably several years. What we have to do from a physical point of view in the stores is make sure that all of our fulfillment operations and our whole experience across our brands is really slick and working really, really well. So we doubled down on like fast fulfillment, making sure that our team members in our central locations and our stores can pick click and collects quickly.
So those people, their roles are now more diverse than they were. Is
Yeah,
that right?
100%. So we've got dedicated teams in most of our stores now, focusing on picking online orders, whether it's for click and collect or delivery. And that model still isn't at a point where we can offer what customers want. So that's a continued challenge. Then surfacing that online, making sure that the expectation is managed all the way through, because you've got that balance of the cost to serve versus what you can actually offer. So we've got 300 locations around New Zealand. We do delivery of practically everything. We pick up the market orders in our stores as well, and we're looking to expand that offer. So really it's about, I think now, how do we get customers what they want, when they want it, where they want it, in a way that doesn't cost us, an arm and a leg. We do it sustainably. And then make one of the things my team focus on very tightly is how do we make our in-store processes really efficient and actually enjoyable for the team as well. Because some processes can be cumbersome, trying to find an item in the warehouse that somebody's ordered. You can imagine that, you're looking.
Sometimes it's fun, but sometimes you just want it, right?
My gosh,
Let's talk
yeah.
about those customers, right? So one of the things I've noticed is that you used to have an online experience and you just didn't think too much of it. You didn't really judge it. NPS wasn't too much of a thing back then. And strangely, through COVID, through lockdowns and the rebirth or the new beginning of e-commerce, so it became an everyday thing, all of a sudden people's expectations went up, but it's continued to go up. So how do you continue to raise the bar when you are you've come from a bricks and mortar background and people are expecting that? And I'll come to you. I'll come to you first, Sarah, because you're literally presenting a new experience that people hadn't had in the marketplace. So how do you always lift the bar so the average experience people have is something that puts a smile on their face?
Yeah, it's a great question, and difficult when we're not really in control of that experience as a marketplace. So for us, it's really all about setting expectations and the right expectations with customers. So. And we can already improve on what we're doing today, and by having more dynamic delivery timeframes based on actual data of how our retailers are truly shipping, their true days to dispatch and delivery timeframes. But tracking that expectation that a customer has all the way through their journey, and using the data that we all have to trigger the appropriate proactive communications to customers when we know that their expectations are not going to be met. I mean, we all would all
So you
have
can proceed.
So
you might let them down, so you proceed that with a proactive message. Right.
That's right. And so it's really powerful to be on the front foot of that conversation when a customer has to go, oh, hang on a minute, where's my order? It should be here by now, and they have to reach out. They're already annoyed, and you can already expect a lower NPS score. However, when you flip that, and we did this through COVID, we did sort of manual trial, very very manual, but the experience for the customers, when we were able to say to them, hey, look, we can see that your order should have been dispatched by now in order to be received within the timeframes that were specified to you, but something must have gone wrong. We're going to reach out and look into this for you. We'll come back to you. Now, those customers, they were so thrilled that we had been on the front foot with that, and they were more than happy to wait a much longer
They're much
time.
more forgiving then, are they?
Yeah, to
So it's not
for their
putting your
order.
head in the sand, it's
That's
actually
right.
getting ahead of it and saying, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to make a mistake and this is how we're going to fix it.
That's right, and we measured that through our NPS through COVID. Our NPS score actually held very, very well. However, our average delivery timeframes were through the roof, especially coming in from Australia. So I think that's just really a testament to being on the front foot and just doing the right thing and proactively managing those expectations.
Right, Dylan, how do you think of in terms of that, in terms of constantly raising that bar and always delivering an excellent service?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been real big on removing clicks and steps and taps and minutes from your journey. So whether that's online or in store, we really focus on the customer journey from when they walk in, how they navigate around the store, how they find the products, how they check the price, and then how they go through the checkouts. And you can find optimization and efficiency in a lot of different ways, even just taking one tap out on the self-service checkouts. So like in the last few months, we added Express Pay. So I mean, the supermarkets have got that. It's not new. It's just adding it in, gets you straight through to payment. With Market Club now, if you're a member of Market Club, you scan your card, we're going to be able to bring more automation into that so that when you're scanning your Market Club card, it might do other things like
Let's speak
record
about
your
that.
receipt.
Let's speak about that automation.
Yeah.
How much are you aiming to automate a journey end to end?
As much as possible. Just take steps out. So now, if you didn't know, if you're a Market Club member, it will save your warehouse receipt into the app. And then that will prompt the option not to have a printed receipt. So these are like little things that are quite nice. Noel Leeming's been doing this for years. You get an electronic receipt, but now you can just go, no, thank you very much, it's in there. So when you go back to the warehouse in the future, all your receipts are saved. It's a small thing, but I don't know if you're like me, but I'll never have my receipt from Mitre 10 or Bunnings. You know, a lot of companies, you just throw the receipt away and something goes wrong and you end up throwing it away. So little steps like that, just removing a step, and then doing the same thing for the team. If you can make the team member experience better and save time, they'll generally, it's not a cost out exercise, so we'll make our team more efficient and they'll invest that immediately into customer service or picking faster or serving quicker, any of those steps. Simple, stupid one. We used to have a limit on team member discount, where if you bought anything in a warehouse store as a team member, you would have to get another team member to approve your purchase. That seems trivial when you might just be buying a drink, right? So we actually increased. We just put in an upgraded limit of $100.
Right.
We saved, I think, like 200,000 minutes a year of interaction time that was just immediately reinvested back into the customer. So you're empowering the team, you're finding time saving, and by not taking the labour out, we're just automatically reinvesting that into the customer. So.
Okay. So you've got, you look after a stable of brands and you've got a lot of consistency there. Sarah, you're in the other spot where you're literally looking after, I think you said 6,500 brands that you're looking after and a very large number of SKUs, etc. How do you bring consistency to your customer experience? And what does customer experience look like when you're literally sourcing from 1,000 different places?
Yeah, it's we still manage that customer experience on behalf of our retailers. Not to say that we will do that forever, but that's been quite important in these first early years to make sure that we can have a bit more control over and making sure that our customers are well looked after, and where we need to go above and beyond perhaps what our retailers would be prepared to do in any given case, we can do that, and we're happy to invest in the customer. So yeah, it is something that we've been managing. Obviously, we work with you now with Ambit. I suppose we should give you a plug since we're up on the stage.
That's great.
Ambit's so great. Yeah, no.
Just get my wallet out.
No, to be fair, we're in a really, really early stages working with Ambit, but us controlling that customer experience is great, but it's costly as well. And as we scale our business enormously, We need to find more efficient ways to scale our support without just adding more people. And so working with companies like Ambit, and there's a few others that can help to feed in some insights as to what might be happening in the delivery networks to help us preempt what comms need to go out to customers, helps us to scale. We've talked about in the past last year, as we headed into our peak period, I found myself in a situation where I needed to very, very quickly hire 35 additional customer service team members just to support this additional enormous growth that we were experiencing. And we somehow did it, but that was could have been quite problematic for us. And
Pretty hard to get you on the phone at that time, I remember.
yeah. And we don't want to find ourselves in that situation again. We want to make sure that we're investing in scalable solutions that are, of course, not only going to reduce our costs, but actually provide a better overall customer experience.
So how do you, talking about customer experience, it's not something customers actually ask for, it's something they get. And as we saw from that NZ Post thing, it's right at the top of what retailers are offering, customers are looking for something different. And usually it's, where's my parcel? How do we get that refund? And that kind of thing. You've got to measure that. How is data used differently in your business now to pre-pandemic?
It's not too different. It's not too different. We still measure all sorts of metrics to make sure that we're tracking how our customers' expectations will be met. I wouldn't say that there is anything especially new that's come out of the pandemic, which is just even more of a reminder of how important it is that data is solid and we can access it quickly, and it's accessible to all relevant team members in the business to be able to ensure that everybody is bringing insights based actions to any kind of project that we have. Yeah.
Right, Dylan, same for you.
Yeah, I was thinking it was just before the pandemic actually, evolved our NPS program from 1 question to 5. Now, obviously, when you extend that out, you get a lower response rate. But the 5 questions were centered around the journey. So, could I find what I was looking for? Was it priced? Did I check out quickly? And there's a couple of other dimensions as well. And through having those 5 lenses now, when we implement change, we can see a tangible difference in some of those move. So we recently did a trial out in Westgate, the warehouse, where we just changed all the navigation and took a lot of the signage out. The metric on I can navigate the store went through the roof, like 30 points increase. So you can use those sub-metrics to drive, and I've had a couple of great conversations here actually about how we can do that better. But yeah, that was one that worked out really well for us. I was a bit skeptical at first because you're not going to get very many people answer 6 questions instead of 1, but the data is better and more helpful for a store experience anyway. So.
Okay, thinking of that theme where change is the new norm, right? People need an excellent experience, they want it to be good, and they reward you with a bigger basket if you give them that great experience. How do you've got so many things across broad businesses, how do you prioritise when you're in a time of extreme change?
Well, one of the advantages we've had is we've moved to an agile operating model, so that really does empower our teams to chase value and reprioritise quarterly on what's going to deliver the most value. Talking about before, the cost of running the business and how important automation is. So most of my teams have an element of run and a big element of build. We're a build team, so we're generally trying to create change and innovate. But one of the things we always focus on is how do you just remove and eliminate run work so that you can have the team 100% focused on creating value. A great example of that is like Noel Leeming is a $1.1 billion business, and that whole business runs on more or less 1 support person. So that's pretty impressive for an ERP system to be running with just 1 support. And that's just an example of where you can really drive it. So agile is super helpful. Cross-functional teams empowered to deliver value. it's been a massive unlock for us. Happy to talk to anyone about that.
Agile fan over here. So Sarah, coming to you, you were, like we were talking about, you were born into change. So your BAU pretty much is change and build. Do you find that you are leading some of those organisations that you work with, those other brands and retailers? Do they come to you for support and thought leadership?
Yes, certainly. Some of our retailers do look to us and the group to get some ideas around sort of what good looks like and best practice, and get some insights on some of the partners that we might be using. I'd say that we could be doing more in this space, so especially around sustainability. I think we are acutely aware that we have the potential, working with so many retailers across Australia and New Zealand, to influence some really positive change in the way that businesses are operating. So yeah, they absolutely do look to us in terms of how our focus on our initiatives. Of course, we have our BAU focus, but we're still a startup 4 years later who are operating with some processes that have remained the same since MVP. So we absolutely do have a lot of initiatives, and we prioritise having a really clear strategy over the next 5 years of what we need to focus on, and we just map out those initiatives to rank what it is that we need to be doing now versus 6 months time or a year down the track, and going through that process right now of finalising our annual business plan. And it's really a really great exercise to go through with the team's input as well, and getting that buy-in. Everybody is wanting to have some stability, but they also really want to be part of that journey and mapping out what it is that we're going to be working on. So
1 minute on what does stable look like?
Stable up.
Yeah,
More
stable
bitch.
up and to the right.
Yeah, stable. Stable in the right direction. I mean, it would be strong retention of our retail partners, which we have now, and we're incredibly proud of the relationships that we've built, and those merchants sticking with us and up until now. So seeing them on that journey for the long haul, incredibly strong customer loyalty, which is underpinned by personalisation, relevance, experience, and value. More $4 butter, and I think from there, just continuing what we're doing really, in a straight line up.
Okay, Dylan, what's the new stable? What's the new norm?
I think we've touched on it around just giving people time back, meeting expectations, managing expectations, like you talked about, Sarah. I really love that. You'd rather just front foot it. But yeah, we've got different experiences across our brands. One day I'll be thinking about the Warehouse Stationery or Noel Leeming, and they're all, different expectation in our brands. They're all at different levels, and we're trying to build them all up so that we can exceed the customers' expectations when they come in. And I think you can always achieve that just by giving time back. I was talking to someone earlier about that. It's just like, customers may not even notice that you've made it more efficient, but they definitely come back because it is. And that could just be one less click on the cart or one less minute saved waiting in the queue at the store.
Time's the most valuable commodity.
100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks very much. And thanks for appearing today.